Good afternoon, dear fellows. For roughly 30 years, the golden rule of the global economy was simple: efficiency. Just simple like that. If you could make a widget, say, 1 cent cheaper by building a factory halfway across the world, you did it. We build a global system based on the idea that trade promotes peace, and that economic integration would make conflict obsolete. The leading producers optimized for just-in-time delivery. But today we are living in a different reality. We have woken up to find that interdependence can be weaponized. From the energy crisis triggered by the war in our own country to the semiconductor bottlenecks in Asia, we've learned that relying on a single, potentially hostile supplier for critical goods is a strategic vulnerability. Today we are going to talk about international economic cooperation, but through a new lens, economic security. We are moving from an era of efficiency to the era of resilience. While discussing international economic cooperation, we are going to go deeper than just supply chains. We are going to talk about why what you make matters a lot. I'm talking about economic complexity, and why how you open up matters a lot as well. True security comes not just from stockpiling, but from capabilities. This is about economic complexity again, and capacity building. This is largely about investment. First, let's redefine what makes a nation secure in the long run. It is not just GDP or trade of any kind. It's much about economic complexity. Originally developed by researchers at Harvard and MIT, this framework moves beyond aggregate numbers and measures the collective knowledge embedded in a society productive structure, essentially quantifying the know-how of a nation. When Professors Hausman and Dalga introduced this term, they shifted the focus heavily from how much a country produces to what it produces, revealing that nations exporting unique, sophisticated goods like jet engines are far more resilient than those merely exporting commodities like oil. Think of the economy like a game of Scrabble. Some countries have only a few letters. Resources like oil or wheat, they can only make very simple words. Other countries, they have many different letters and the knowledge to combine them. They make complex words. Jet engines, medical equipment, advanced polymers, weaponry, and so on. Why this is a security issue? If you sit at the bottom of the value chain, digging up lithium or sewing t-shirts, you are easily replaced. You have no leverage, you have no cars, as it once been said. You are vulnerable to the price shocks and political pressure. But if you move up the value chain, if you control the technology to process the lithium into battery cells or the design of the semiconductors, you possess sticky power. It's hard to replace you. You are needed. You are valuable. Therefore, modern economic security isn't just about protecting what you already have. It's about aggressively trying to become more complex, to make an upgrade of your economy. International cooperation today is often about allies helping each other move up this ladder, so they aren't dependent on rivals for high-tech components, for example. Now, how do we cooperate to achieve this complexity? This brings us to a crucial distinction that often gets missed. Being open to world can mean two very different things. First, open to imports, buying foreign goods. I will buy you microchips. Open to investment, building capacity. I will let you build a microchip factory in our country. From a security perspective, these are opposites. If I rely on imports, I'm efficient, but I am vulnerable. If a war breaks out or a pandemic hits, the chips stop coming. I have the demand, but not the capability. However, if I'm open to foreign direct investment from allies, I'm importing the factory, the technology, and the skills. If you build a factory here, you can't easily move it. That capacity becomes part of the national resilience. The new strategy, modern economic cooperation, is shifting from trade deals, lowering tariffs to buy more stuff, to investment partnerships, co-investing to build more stuff. We don't just want to buy American or European tech, we want American and European companies to make it here, transferring the complexity to our local workforce. This logic drives the concept of friendshoring. It's not just about trading with friends, it's about integrating production with friends. This is a very important idea. Let's look at the electric vehicle industry. The old way: dig lithium in country A, ship it to the rival country B for processing, buy the finished battery back. Low complexity for country A, high risk. The new way: cooperation. Country A with resources, partners with country C with tech. Country C then builds a processing plant inside country A, and country A moves up the value chain, gets more complex industry. Country C gets a secure supply batteries from trusted ally. This is the win-win of the economic security. One side gets development, the other side gets resilience. That's the game we should play with the US and with Europe. To conclude, the next generation of economic policy is about finding the sweet spot. We cannot produce everything. That's autarky, and it leads to poverty. But we cannot import everything. That leads to vulnerability. The path forward is strategic interdependence. We must cooperate with allies to move up the value chain together, prioritizing investment over simple imports, and building a network of complex, resilient economies that can withstand the shocks of the 21st century. Glory to Ukraine. Thank you all.